Hi, welcome to markcyclerepairs.com. Today having a quick look at the Shimano hydraulic brake and gear shifter combined. That's what they look like. So that's all the barcodes, and this is what they actually look like. So this is like the second up from the bottom in terms of the Shimano hydraulic brakes. These are about 45 quid. So it has the basic caliper on it, which comes fully bled with the standard resin pads. And this is the newer caliper design with a different bleed screw here. And you pop the hose on this rubber cap here, which makes it easier to bleed. So you don't have to. So you just loosen that off a little bit to bleed it, and then the hose goes on here to pump the fluid through. It comes ready bled. This is the right hand one, and you can get it in 7 or 8 speed options, so it's integrated into the shifter, and obviously comes with the cable and the standard mounting brackets. And I think you get some bits of gear cable, and in case you do need to cut the hose and shorten it, you get the bleed things with it. So yeah, that's what it looks like. I'll see if I can balance it on here. But I'm not sure I'll be able to, so let's put the box on and do that. Then put it in the box, and it works out at 378 grams, which is pretty lightweight, to be honest. And I'll do a video in a minute showing you how to put it on the bike. Hi, welcome back to Mark Cycle Repairs, and now we're going to put this on the 7-speed shifter and hydraulic brake. I've taken the old one off, which is a bit tricky, and unthreaded the old cable, and it's simply a case of sliding it on the handlebars, which is straightforward. And get a 5mm Allen key and tighten it up just approximately in place, and then we can adjust it a bit later on. Just put it roughly there. And then we have the front disc caliper, and you have the pad spacer here in case you were to pull the brake lever by accident. Now this one, we've actually put the new fork on this bike, so we're going to put it here and leave some space for it to go through there. So basically you just slide it over the disc and put the 2 bolts on, and it does actually come with it in the packet. I always try and use the new ones, 5mm Allen key to put these on. So we just put those on, like so, and do them up. And if we do them almost all the way up, not fully up, then we can line up the caliper at the end. Very stiff, that one. That's probably because they come with the Loctite already on them, being new bolts. I might have to get my other Allen key out of this, because they are very stiff, these ones. Let's go back to this way. Or what you do when you're almost tight, you go up here and you pull the brake lever a few times and the pads will squash in a bit, and then you hold the brake lever down, and then we tighten this up on both ends, and in theory when you let go the caliper should be in the middle. And we let go now and spin it, and it's catching a tiny bit, so it doesn't always work but usually pretty close. So it's catching a tiny bit on the inside. We'll just loosen this a tiny bit, give it a little tap, still clicking a little bit, loosen this a tiny bit, give it a little tap, because you don't want to fully loosen it because then it will flap around, so just loosen it a tiny bit, give it a little tap so it's still a bit stiff. Pull the brake lever a couple of times, and that seems to have done it. So just hold the brake lever down while we tighten this up. And that should be it. The front brake part of it is all working now. So now we have to do the gear cable, and luckily it comes pre-done on the inside. So you just gently unwind this. You've got to be careful to not kink the cable, because if you put a kink in it then it doesn't run smoothly. And it should all unravel itself. The blue ones here I think is the galvanised one, because it is the lower end one, and it did come with a couple of cables in the box, so you can check they're the right length or not and trim them accordingly. So we put that in there, put it all through, and push it into here. And depends on the bike and the layout. This is a cheap looking electric bike, and it's a bit fiddly to get this all through with all the electric cables in the way, and I believe it's because maybe we should keep it on the outside of the zip tie because it will run smoother. We poke it through here, which is this one here, comes out here. Just be careful again not to kink it, but make sure it's running smooth and there's no other cables in the way. And it does come with another piece of gear cable, I think it just fell off, and that looks pretty close in size, so I'll ditch the old one, put the new one on, and then we just have to line up the gears and it should work. Feed that through, pop it in, and pop this one in here, pull it through, and this is a more budget derailleur, so it's still got the 9mm nut on it, so just get it in the groove, hold it tight. Normally best to wind in any excess, put it in top gear, and then tighten it up like this. Make sure it's in the right groove. That's that. And there we go. Now you'll normally find it stretches a bit when you first use it, so it's gone slack. So now what I normally do is try and stretch it even more by pulling it by hand to avoid the initial stretch, and now it's stretched quite I'm not trying to take up all the slack. Loosen this. And tighten up again. And then we should be a lot closer to the final position. There we go. It's all set up here. Each click actually seems to line up pretty well. So that's all good now. There we go, just a little bit of fine tuning and it should all be good. Oof. Now the reason I changed this one to the hydraulic is because it's a cheap Chinese import bike, and sometimes you get fake Shimano shifters and you can tell because the metal's a bit thinner and they just don't quite work as well. So even though it looks genuine, I'm pretty sure this is a fake one, judging by the clicks, and it just doesn't feel as firm, and that's why I changed it, so now it actually shifts better. And you can tell generally on the cheap Chinese bikes because these bits of the frame are much thinner than on a proper UK or European spec bike. The metal is thicker. This is a steel frame and you can see it's quite thin in relation to what you get on a proper EU spec or UK spec bike, or American spec, or whatever spec. And from experience, that's why I knew this was causing the issue of not shifting well, and we upgraded the brake as well. So anyway, thanks for watching. See you next time on markscyclerepairs.com.